Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. It's the middle of July, what we call the dog days of summer, probably some of the hottest temperatures during the daytime that you're gonna wanna feel out there on the water. But a lot of us bass heads, we wanna get out there and still catch a few fish. And I'll endure it right out during the heat of the day. That's just my preference, but I know a lot of you guys love to get out there and night fish. And years ago, I used to do that and actually fished a tournament series, had some really good success. And I wanna share with you guys some tips and tricks, some different things about night fishing, particularly fishing big soft plastic worms for giant bass at night. But before I get right into it, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Really, that's the best thing you can do to kind of help my channel grow, as well as share it on your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And if you like the content, please give me a thumbs up. Let's get right into it. So I love to fish soft plastic worms at night. Actually, I would say that's probably my favorite way to catch them at night. Thunder and lightning out there. So I want to share some tips with you that have really worked well for me for catching not only fish, but big ones at night. The first thing I think about when I'm night fishing is limited visibility. And that's really good for one reason, because that really kind of helps you come in under the radar. It kind of eliminates some of the things that bass can detect, some of the flaws in our presentation and different things like that, because they can't see as well. Their vision is cut a little bit. So that's great for us. It's kind of like a windy day or a cloudy day. Seem like the fishing's better. Same thing at night. You have diminished light penetration, and then you have bass that are a little bit more willing to bite. And there's gonna be feeding windows throughout the night, so they're not gonna just bite consistently all night, just like they wouldn't bite all day, even on a really good day. So keep that in mind. You're fishing for a window, a period, and sometimes that really coincides with the solar lunar tables, the major and minor feeding patterns or habits of the outdoor world. So check into that. There's some stuff that you can really learn about that, some interesting things that'll help you kind of pinpoint when the best time to go is, to a degree. So number one, since I'm dealing with diminished light penetration and diminished visual acuity of the bass that I'm after, I want to be able to help them find my bait. And number one, that means bigger baits and noisier baits. So when it comes to soft plastic baits at night, I want to fish big plastics. And this actually goes hand in hand with fishing soft plastics even during the heat of the day. In the summer, we like really big worms. I mean, that's when we pull out our bigger straight tail worms, pull out our bigger, swimming style worms, curly tail worms, 10, 11, 12-inch worms, and we get them out there on those offshore humps and structure spots. And we fish them out there and fish them in deeper water, trying to catch those fish that are out off in that deeper water on those structure spots during the summer. So this really goes hand in hand with it. Nothing out of the ordinary there, but I'm gonna add some more sound to it. Like I've got a bead in here, and this bead, it's not making a lot of noise here, maybe you'll hear that. But when I shake it down there on the bottom, that tungsten weight is slamming against that bead, and it'll create some extra noise. So that really helps. So I'm gonna use, whether it's a plastic bead like this you can get, I would actually suggest those glass, I think they're 8 or 9 millimeter glass beads, glass faceted beads. Those work well with your tungsten weights just up against there. Anything from 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce, depending upon how deep and what the cover's like. So again, I'm gonna increase the overall size of the bait I'm throwing, but then also add a little sound to it. Another thing that I'll do is I'll put some rattles in there. I'll just take my rattle and insert it into the plastic, and that's gonna not only add this noise from where the tungsten is hitting there, but also where the rattle is when I'm shaking it and pulling it through cover. That's gonna help the fish locate the bait. I think the overall size kind of appeals to the lateral line on the fish, but then the sound, obviously, they can kind of hone in on it. I wanna say that's a definite secret I think a lot of people may not take into consideration. You wanna add some beads or rattles into your soft plastics during the summertime. Fish them down low and slow on the bottom. even though in the summertime you might be fishing out offshore, sometimes shallow points, boat docks, areas where there's going to be some fish activity shallow, though those fish might turn off during the day, but in those low light periods you can catch them. A couple things about my gear. I'm going to want like either a medium heavy or heavy action 7'2", all the way up maybe even a 7'6". Another thing you don't really have to do at night, in my opinion, is downsize your line. Again, diminished visibility says I can go up to 20-pound test, and why not? Because if you're going to catch a giant one and fight that fish when your vision's diminished and the lack of light out there, you really don't know how, what you're up against and how you're going to be fighting those fish and kind of strategizing to get them in the boat. You might as well upsize your line so that you can kind of increase the odds of catching a big bass on a soft plastic worm when you can't see how to fight them and what direction they're going in a lot of instances. So heavier action rod, heavier line. I want to say also one thing, wide gap hooks. I want to use wide gap hooks because I'm using thicker soft plastic baits. Wide gap hooks, either an offset wide gap 5/0 owner hook or an all-purpose bait hook or a cutting point rigging hook. That's something that I feel like was going to really help you. And then tungsten weights. I feel like the tungsten weights really help project some of the sound, kind of when it's beating up against the plastic, or glass rattles or glass beads. Definitely is going to help with the sensitivity down there on the bottom. So 5/16 all the way to 3/8 and maybe even 1/2 ounce, definitely going to be the call for that. Again, I might fish a big old straight tail worm. I might fish a worm with a swimming style tail. I might fish one with a big ribbon tail. But I also want to take into consideration colors. June bug, black and blue, red bug. Those darker hues like that at night. I feel like when you're fishing a worm at night, think about it this way. If they're looking at something, that darker silhouette is going to really show up even in diminished light. Their eyes kind of don't work the same way ours do. They can pick up that difference in hue of dark versus light, and they can actually see that. Or as they silhouette it up against the sky as it's falling through the water column, they can definitely see those things. So darker colors, rattles, beads, and heavy hook, heavy line, and a bigger rod. I'm using for me, I would be using like a 7'4" heavy action lose rod with maybe a hyper mag or even a Pro TI. Those would be the reels that I would choose. I would probably go with 20-pound test gamma fluorocarbon. Some guys would go with braid. I feel like I can feel really well with the gamma fluorocarbon on that. So those are some tips for night fishing during the dog days of summer, fishing during this part of the year. If you don't like that heat beating down on you, try night fishing some bigger soft plastic baits. Think sound to appeal, to draw them in, and working them along the bottom, and you could catch some of the biggest bass of the year. That's it for now, guys. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up and let me know, do you guys like to night fish or don't you? I kind of stopped night fishing because I really don't like the way that I feel the following day. I feel kind of like a zombie. I really like to sleep at night, not during the day. For me, it's daytime fishing, but if you like to night fish, try these out. Let me know how it goes. Drop a comment down below, and until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.